Following rising cases of kidnapping and other criminal activities in Ondo State, Governor Rotimi Akeredolu has ordered herdsmen to vacate forest reserves in the state within 7 days. At a meeting with Hausa, Fulani and Ibira communities in Akure on Monday, Governor Akeredolu also banned night grazing and prohibited movement of cattle within the cities and on highways. Is this the right thing to do? Let's share this with you.
The recent shooting of the Deputy Registrar of the Federal University of Technology, Akure, raised serious concerns, increasing cases of kidnapping and other crimes, pointing to suspected others, stated the response by the state government with this interactive meeting.
You people in this room, you are not saying that you are the criminals. But we have the belief that some of you will know these criminals.
It was not a time for long speeches as Governor Akeredolu went straight to the point.
And all our forest reserves are to be vacated by herdsmen, except you are there lawfully, because farmers who are entity are registered to farm there. We will not discriminate. If you are doing a legitimate job there, we will register you, you pay, you do it.
He also outlawed underage grazing of cattle.
Night grazing is banned. We have said so. All of us agreed. We are miserably. We are saying movement of cattle within cities and highways is prohibited. We have said so. And we have said it, all of us have agreed that underage grazing of cattle is outlawed.
Leaders of the Hausa, Fulani and Ibira communities promised to call their people to order.
Every corner, the place Fulani Day, we will go back, do meeting, follow the thing government will do. Talk like, because I was support government.
Has therefore directed security agencies in the state to enforce its directive in order to guarantee safety of lives and property. Ayodeji Moradeyo, TVC News, Akure.
Thanks to our Ondo State correspondent there, Ayodeji Moradeyo, my namesake. Now, Babajide, I noticed something, this kind of trend, like within APC governors, it's always very difficult for them to speak out like this and take decisive moves when it comes to a sensitive issue like this. Now, Governor Rotimi Akeredolu is coming out to say no night grazing and herdsmen must not be seen some particular time around the states. And effectively even talked about, young herdsmen that most of them should go to school. And he was very, very blunt and frank about this.
Yes, it's not as if these moves had not been made in the past. It's just that the directives were not complied with. So he merely used the opportunity of yesterday's town hall meeting to emphasize the need to obey those directives that were made after he had met with those stakeholders in the past. For example, in the course of the meeting, he looked at the chairman of Mieti in the state, Mame Bello. He said, "You come here. We have talked about this thing in the past, Mieti Allah. And you promised, you admitted that there are bad eggs within your fold. You promised to do something about it. You promised to identify those bad eggs so that this whole nonsense will stop. But we are still having cases of people being attacked, criminals masquerading as herdsmen, still killing people, still kidnapping people." That's what got the governor angry. Because I remember also that there was a similar meeting like this that the commissioner of police in the state had with the Fulani community in the state. And by themselves, they admitted that, yes, there are criminal elements masquerading as herdsmen. And the commissioner said, identify those people so that we can move in and serve justice. It's the same thing that the governor is saying. There are innocent people amongst them, among the headsmen, who are doing their legitimate duty. But there are criminally minded people who are not headsmen, but simply posing as headsmen and infiltrating the forest. So the governor is saying, no, if people must stay in our forest, we must document them. The era of undocumented immigrants running riot in our country, posing as Nigerians and simply killing our people has to stop. Look at what's going on in Okeogun. Look at what's going on in Okeogun. Even a big-time farmer was killed. You kidnap people, they pay ransom, you still go ahead and kill them. It has to stop. I looked at, you know why I'm particularly concerned? I looked at the security alarm that the Americans sent to their people about Nigeria. All of those states that they want people not to go to, there's no southwest state there. If the killing of people by criminal headsmen, if the killing of people by so-called bandits, you know they killed the those states the other day, first class ruler. If it continues, don't be surprised if maybe next month or anytime whatsoever, the Americans come up with another security report and you see one of the Southwest listed. That is why the governors of the Southwest should stop playing politics about security. I've said it before, I've already suggested to them. Don't play, when it gets to your door, you will know that your judgment had been very bad, ab initio. If you want to encourage Amotekun, go ahead, do it and take your decisions decisively. Protect your people. Look at what this governor said. He said, I was voted into office not only to execute projects, but to provide security for lives and property. That's vintage Akeredolu.
He said it all.
Shooting from the hip, speaking straight from his heart.
My God.
That is one thing that I like about him. I don't like hypocritical people. Just let you know that is a problem. Solve it decisively. That's what we lack. Be decisive. No one. It's called a games reserve. It's not supposed to be a place to harbor criminals. What are they doing there? We know these problems are there. We are reluctant to take the kind of steps that will put an end to the problem.
On your state and on those states has been, lately in the last few days has been the worst hits, and he cited Olufon. It's the Futa, the registrar, deputy registrar of Futa was also killed, and in Ondo State right now, when you go to this road, very very dangerous right now. Kidnappers and bandits, they are having like a field day.
I'm encouraged, but I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed because there was a time that there was this, it was more like a pandemic. Every time within Ondo and Oyo State, there were a lot of kidnappings and killings. And it got to a stage that the Southwest governors met and had a security meeting and also had a large meeting where they brought in a lot of stakeholders. And it was because of that it was decided to form Amotekun. But for whatever reason, either by act of omission or commission, most of them didn't really do the kind of thing we expected them to do with Amotekun, because the essence of Amotekun was to stop that. Because we knew that the so-called herdsmen had become, because we have to be clear about it, there are two categories of people here. There are traditional herdsmen who roam about with their cattle, they have things to do, and they are meanings to farmers. But there are some people who are herdsmen, but who are more or less criminals. You understand? They rely on armed robbery and kidnapping. And it is embarrassing.
Basically foreigners.
Yes, it is embarrassing that some Fulani herdsmen will come to Yoruba land and be kidnapping our people and be doing armed robbery and will be paying ransom. And our governors are not, what Akeredolu said, very nice, I'm encouraged, but it was the same thing that the governors said they were going to do. How many of those governors have really started Amotekun in their domain? What is the funding of Amotekun? Is Amotekun doing the kind of thing we expected them to do? Because we thought that with Amotekun, we'll be able to slow down this insecurity that was happening in Yoruba land. But along the line, some of the governors are paying lip service to Amotekun. Those who have started it, they are not well funded. So the kidnappings and armed robberies still continue, and it is shameful that people. The other day, I read the story of just about some days ago. I read the story of this engineer who went to Ebonyi State with the wife and the kids. The kids were traveling for the first time, and he said, "Okay, let me visit my in-laws in Ebonyi." They were coming back on Akure Expressway. They were kidnapped. They paid 2 million. He mentioned somebody that was there that paid 5 million. You understand where they were, how and why they were beating them every day. And he confirmed that they were young Fulani criminals. That is unacceptable. Miyetti Allah should be able to know those who are their people, who are these real, authentic S-men. You understand? They are doing the job, and then they should be able to collaborate with police and the security agencies to be able to fish out these criminals who have turned the forest reserve to their hideouts.
Okay, we'll be joined by Donald Ojogo, the Commissioner for Information in Ondo State. He joins us via Skype. Thank you, Mr. Ojogo.
Thank you, Ayo.
What is happening in Ondo State? Can you give us the security situation in your state right now?
Well, thank you, Ayo. The security situation in Ondo State is not different from what obtains in every other state, particularly in the southwest. I am not in a position to give you detailed security reports, as it were, but the tense security situation in the state is the same thing as what every other person in the southwest will experience. It's getting to a stage that people no longer sleep with their two eyes closed. So it's really a very disturbing scenario. Like Mayor painted it, when we thought that we were battling with a pandemic, we have another pandemic which is getting more debilitating. That is kidnapping. It's almost like a pandemic, getting worse than COVID. So we are in very perilous times. If care is not taken, it may get out of hand. And very urgent and courageous steps have to be taken in the light of what the governor of Ondo State has just done yesterday.
Give us more insight into the Riot Act read by Mr. Governor on Monday.
Well, if you call it Riot Act, anyone is free to give interpretation to the very clear, unambiguous statement the governor made yesterday. He didn't just wake up one day to make those statements. That was not the first meeting, and I believe it wasn't even the second meeting that the governor held with the leadership of the Hausa Fulani community. In some of these meetings that were held, it was agreed, even among the leadership of the Miyetti Allah, that yes, there are criminal elements who are hiding under very legitimate businesses under our leadership, that they were going to cooperate with government and security agencies to fish them out. But between that period and now, it's not as if the thing had abated. It had not abated. Rather than abating, it is accentuating, which is very disturbing and dangerous. So the governor as the chief security officer, even though operationally governors have their own inhibitions in exercising their rights as chief security officers in their various states, he has a duty to protect the people. And that is one of those things he has done. So it's not a new thing that the man has done. It's not a riot act. But what was needful was done and at the most appropriate time yesterday.
Are you confident that rising from yesterday's meeting, the Miyetti Allah leadership will turn in these undesirable elements who are kidnapping and killing people? Are you confident this time?
Well, that is our prayer, because it will be to the general good, to the good of the leadership of the Miyetti Allah, the Hausa Fulani community, and the people of Ondo State, if there is collaboration between these stakeholders to ensure that criminal elements are identified and weeded out of society. But it will also be more dangerous if the genuine businessmen, the genuine Mieti Allah people, those who are genuine, who are doing their very legitimate businesses, would tend to inherit the criminal activities of hoodlums and murderers who are hiding under Mieti Allah. It will be a very dangerous scenario. So the earlier the leadership of the Mieti Allah group identifies and fishes out these criminal elements, the better for the people of the state and the better for Mieti Allah. It will be very good if they express much and display much of commitment and understanding with the state governments.
How prepared is the Amotekun from Ondo states? How ready are they to actually checkmate the activities of these bandits?
In the first place, Amotekun was not set up as a combat operations outfit. It was set out to collaborate with the conventional security outfits to ensure that crime and criminality are reduced to the barest minimum. But also, they will require the commitment and encouragement of every stakeholder, including Mieti Allah, for them to be able to operate effectively and maximally. So I can say confidently that Amotekun is, with its intentions, the motive behind the setting up of Amotekun are clear and unambiguous. So it is not a confrontation outfit, as it were, that it is as it is being painted elsewhere outside the Southwest. It is there to ensure that crime is reduced. It is there to ensure that criminals are weeded out of the entire Southwest. Those who have no criminal tendencies have no business to be afraid. Those who have no criminal motives have no reason to be afraid of the activities of Amotekun in the Southwest.
Donald Ojogo, thank you, Commissioner, for information from on those states. Thank you for joining us again. Now, it appears the center can no longer hold in Oyo State, southwest Nigeria, following the eviction of some herdsmen orchestrated by a community chieftain, Sunday Adeyemi, popularly known as Sunday Igboho. To avert anarchy in the peace-setter states, Governor Seyi Makinde, a team from the Inspector General of Police and traditional rulers are meeting on the vexed issue of the killer herdsmen. Meanwhile, Pan-Yoruba Socio-Cultural Group, Afenifere, and Iowa Consultative Forum have disagreed over calls for the arrest of Sunday Igboho. Babajide, let me start here. I have seen a lot of disturbing visuals. I've seen a lot of disturbing videos, and I've seen Mr. Sunday Igboho giving ultimatum to Hausa Fulani residents in Ibarakwa, in Oyo State, and after the 7 day, they went there and they went to go and carry out that eviction. Before that particular day, the governor of Oyo State, Seyi Makinde, in the state broadcast actually warned that anybody that is seen, nobody has the rights, nobody has the right to actually give anybody ultimatum to leave any area in Nigeria that as well guided and bounded by the 1999 Constitution. Jide, for some days now, this has been on the front burner in the entire Southwest. What do you make of this Sunday Igboho saga?
Sunday Igboho is one man fighting a just cause illegally. And you can have a just cause, but you must operate within the ambit of the law. So what Sunday Igboho is doing is to pursue a noble cause, a good cause, illegally. And what I mean by this is clear, because we live in terrible times where whatever you say, there are people waiting out there to twist it. Fighting a just cause illegally.
A just cause
illegally. That's what he's doing. Why do I call it a just cause? Criminal headsmen have been kidnapping people in the whole of that area, raping people, and getting away with it. They've been destroying farmlands, getting away with it. There was the case of the big-time farmer who was based abroad, the one with the PhD, who came into the state with the intention of setting up a big farm. It's our president who told us to go back to the farm. It's our president who told us that we must eat what we kill. The whole idea of getting us to be growing rice is because we have the potential to even feed the continent of Africa by growing rice. One state in Nigeria can feed the entire country. One state has the capacity to feed the entire country. Rice. But what do we have? People are reluctant to go back to farming. Young people do not have the incentive to go back to farming. We have a farmer population that's aging. Then we now have the situation in which younger people are coming in.
Yeah.
They found farming pleasurable and rewarding.
And the
Thanks to the efforts of government, and the backing that the CBN is giving farmers. But a situation in which criminal headsmen, I call them criminals because that's who they are, that's what they are, will unleash their cattle on people's farms, trample on people's farms. And if you raise a finger, you get killed. That's what happened to the man. Before this thing happened, there had been complaints that people were being kidnapped, forced to pay ransom. And sometimes when they pay ransom, they still get killed
in their own land.
If you remember, sometime last week, I told Governor, because I knew that this thing would degenerate, I told Governor Seyi Makinde to take control of the situation and provide leadership. I hope we can play back what I said yesterday, that anything short of that, we will have anarchy on our hands. If I were the governor, I would have gone to that community even before the ultimatum. Did he do that? He did not. Where people are pushed to the wall, where people are being killed on their ancestral land, when they get pushed to the wall, people will fight back. It may not even be in form of Sunday Igboho, it could be someone else. In the north today, Hausa farmers responded to attacks by these same criminal headsmen by forming what we call Ensake. And the Ensake, what do they do? Even if there's an attack anywhere, they go after Fulani headsmen and they start slaughtering them. It still happened just this last week in Zamfara. And the governor said, have we not disbanded Ensake? Why are they still killing people? Because the cycle of retaliation continues. You kill me, you kill my people, we go for you. It happens in Katsina, it happens in Zamfara, and it's like that. So it's not only in Oyo State that people have responded to criminal headsmen by forming vigilantes or by confronting them. It's happening in the north. Ensake. Read all the stories of Zamfara that happened last week. The governor was complaining that I have banned Ensake in this town, in this state. That any traditional ruler who allows Ensake to kill Fulanis will be punished. This is what we have. I oppose Sunday Igboho's approach. If I were Sunday Igboho, I would have handled it differently. When you come into a place and you say, we are driving all of you away because of the activities of a few people, of a few responsible people that we have not been able to expunge from the land, because these people don't deserve to live. Because of the activities, you cannot make a wholesale ban. You can't be provoked to the point that you now say everybody should go. There are many Fulanis who are doing legitimate business in the southwest. There are many Fulanis who exhibit exemplary behavior. Some of our best friends are Fulanis. I've said it before. I even mentioned some of my best friends who are Fulanis. But we can't have a situation in which you say everybody should go. No. We were still trying to defend what they accused the governor of Ondo State of saying. We were still trying to say, okay, this was not what he said. But look at what is happening now. When Arewa wants to comment on it, they will claim that the governor said everybody should go. We are twisting it. We have a talent for twisting stories.
Wally, Sunday Igboho.
Well, I think we may not get the whole picture if we settle in on him as an individual. I think Sunday Igboho is a phenomenon that is a response to a cause. The fundamental problem is what Babajide has said. People's ancestral homes, land, are being invaded by alien forces. People have attachment to land. It's their spirituality, their forest dependent, is where they get their health herbs in local areas. There are sacred groups that they don't allow strangers to enter. Some of these sacred groups have been there for hundreds of years. Outsiders don't have the right to invade them. Now, we see that for years, for the past few years, the herdsmen have been invading these territories, not just in Oyo State alone. And I'm aware that several complaints have been made, like the one mentioned by Babajide, one Dr. Borodo. He employed 200 people with a plan to employ 500 more people in the next 2 years. What happened was that they visited this man with their cows, destroyed the whole cow, and then killed the man. The traditional ruler of Igboho, his son was kidnapped, and I understand he paid 4 million ransom. So when the custodian of people's tradition values also becomes a victim, then you know it's a serious issue. And these people, we should not confuse them with the pastoralists that have been living with Yoruba people for over 150 years.
Thank you for joining us, Senator. Hello. Okay. Tell us what you make of the crisis between herders and farmers in Oyo State.
Thank you for having me. Well, the farmer-herder crisis in Oyo State is a continuation of the violence that have been unleashed specifically by herders against farmers, as it happens in most parts of northern states. In the states of Katsina, Kaduna, Zamfara, Benue, Plateau, and even Taraba State, in the last few years, it has all been held. It is unfortunate this violence has been going on, and all efforts made by the government and security agencies has been unable to address the problem. Villagers have been sacked from their homes, they have dispossessed people of their lands, they have extorted millions of naira from people whom they had kidnapped, and they have made life so unbearable for millions of people. No responsible government will fold its arms and see these armed bandits unleashing mayhem and becoming a state within a state without a serious action being taken. And like I've said, one of the tragic consequences of government failing to take the responsibility of its security apparatus is that people will have to come out of their homes and defend themselves. And this is a situation which have found ourselves in this country. It has been done time and again. Millions of people are now terrorized. Thousands of people have been displaced from their homes in most of the states, and nothing has been done to address the problem. Even if it has been done, but it has not been able to produce any result. So as far as I'm concerned, what you see, the action people are taking is the consequences of the failure of the state apparatus to live up to their responsibility. And you cannot dictate to people how they should respond
to what is a matter of life and death to them. What is unacceptable is the extremity in which the responses takes place. Innocent people should not be caught because of the crime of a very few of them. And I think it is not only in some of the states in the Southwest, wherever it is happening today, if the government fail to take responsibility and act on it, then people have no choice than to protect their lands, their lives and livelihood from these armed bandits who have become overwhelming on the state. Yes.
Julie, you're trying to correct that impression that it's not herders, farmers, clashing. This thing that's happening in Oyo State.
Yes, what we have is the Barapa people confronting armed banditry. That's what the issue is. It's not a case of farmers and herdsmen clashing. No. Banditry is being confronted. Banditry represented by people masquerading as herdsmen. They parade themselves as herdsmen, but they are not herdsmen. They are criminals. Criminals who deserve to be exterminated from the face of the earth. They are the ones kidnapping people. True herdsmen who are interested in tending their cattle, they have no time to be kidnapping people. No. These ones are bare-faced criminals. So it is those criminals that the community is confronting. These those criminals that are kidnapping people. The complaint largely is that they are kidnapping and causing them to pay ransom on their own land. So it's criminality that the people are confronting. That is the issue. If we simply say, oh, farmer herdsmen clashes, no, that's not what it is. That's not what it is. It is banditry.
Senator Shehu Sani, now, I want to believe we have the same situation up north. And what do you think is the best solution?
Well, first of all, it is still important that we understand the enormity of this criminality of these bandits. In states like Niger, 3 local governments, Munya, Rafi local governments, and Shirola government, are virtually under the control of these bandits. They have killed clergymen, traditional rulers, students, women, and children. They have displaced over 40 to 50% of people living in rural areas and have taken control. They are an authority unto themselves. They move in motorcycles, 200 to 300 motorcycles with 3 people with AK-47 on them, unleashing mayhem and killing people. In the states of Kaduna, where I live, in local governments like Igabi, like Giwa, like Birnangwari, most parts of southern Kaduna, are virtually being penetrated by these bandits, and they are doing the dastardly work of killing people and displacing people of their homes. In the state of Zamfara and Katsina state is the same thing. Now, the approach to this is that the state must be, the country, the government must be resolute as far as these people is concerned. No responsible government should fold its arm and see all these things here taking place. The unfortunate thing that has happened in the Southwest in Ondo is the word quit notice. And that quit notice has been so politicized on so many issues. The IPOB use it, the Arewa groups use it, and it has been used on Father Kuka and so many, so it has been demonized. But the fact is that any attempt to sanitize the state as far as flushing these bandits is a welcome development. The carrot and stick approach. The carrot approach has been applied in Katsina and Zamfara state. It has not worked. Yes. These bandits are not interested in peace. They are not interested in orderliness and stability. If you want them to stop killing people and burning villages, you simply have to continuously give them money, and that is not possible and it's not going to work. And then the second approach is the use of the state apparatus, the military, the police, and all agencies of the state must be proactive. How can you say, for example, now, one of our relations has been kidnapped. They made a demand of 10 million. It was paid. And they made another demand that we should add 5 million. It was paid. And then they made another demand that until we add 25 million, before we will be free. It has become a business. And the only way for the innocent ones to be able to free themselves from the activities of these criminalities is to distance themselves and align themselves with constituted authority, so that these criminals can be recycled. We cannot address this problem without the use of technology. Whatever that is done at this present time, we need to use technology. These criminals are not moving in group and two. They move in 300 to 400 and motorcycles. They are not herdsmen. They are bandits, they are criminals, and they are terrorists. And action must be taken. And nobody should defend them. Nobody, because what they are doing is not simply against the people of Oyo, Ondo, or Northern Nigeria. They are rubbishing the image of the government and the president himself. So we must take the proactive step of using technology to know where they are and to extinguish them, because they are a menace, they are a cancer, they are a scourge to our country, and they must be dealt with.
But you reacted to what Senator Shosani said. He
said this that nobody should defend this people. You see, when the governor of Ondo State said that they should leave the forest reserve, I was surprised that some people started saying, no, why we should not send people packing. Nobody has the right to graze in the forest reserve. That is why it is called reserve. It is called reserve for a reason. Let's not always allow emotions to trump logic in the way we say things. What are they doing in the forest reserve? The forest reserve is where they keep the people that they kidnap. Those forests, they are largely in Ondo North. Ifon, all of those areas, right up to the border with Edo State. So a governor sat down and thought, okay, the way to go about this is let us address the root cause. Akeredolu has to sustain the momentum. He has contact with Abuja. The president is his friend. He's been the president's loyalist for years. He has to put his foot down that, look, I need to protect my state. This was how people sat back, didn't take the actions that they were supposed to take initially, and we have what is happening in Zamfara now. Must we close our eyes? It has not reached the point of Niger State, it has not reached the point of Zamfara, it has not reached the point of Kaduna, and this is the time to move. Sunday Igboho is just a distraction. The real intention is to flush criminals out of those forests in Oyo State and other places. We must put our eyes on the ball, keep our eyes on the ball. We must still go ahead and flush them out of those places because they don't belong there. So let's leave Sunday Igboho's matter and concentrate on the substance.
Senator Shosani, it's now becoming a north-south thing. Narewa is talking, Afenifere is talking.
Well, you know, in Nigeria, going through our history, whenever things like this happen, you are bound to see a lot of interpretations, and groups like this looking at reasons why they were formed and also the focus of their own agenda. They are bound to look at things from their own prism, from their own perspective. But in the general sense that no sane and responsible person will ever come out to defend the atrocious and heinous activities of these criminals. As someone who is from Kaduna, I cannot move 1 or 2 kilometers outside of the city of Kaduna without the fear of getting into the hands of these armed bandits. So for those of them from even the northern part of the country, they should know that bandits have unleashed more terror and mayhem and killed more people in our own part of the country, and which we have a responsibility to do what we need to do, not even in southern part of Nigeria. And look at it now. Just the last few minutes, I've gotten a report in some places around Jerry, which is not very far from Abuja. About 300 to 400 of them motorcycles have been sacking villages and sending people out of their homes. Now, who, in the name of any ethno-sectional organization, will come out and defend the activities of these people? Our own concern is secure and protect the innocent cattle rearers. But armed headsmen killing people, dispossessing people of their land are criminals and should not be protected and should not be defended because their activities runs contrary to law. And the danger of siding with these or pampering them is the fact that other persons will be prompted to protect their homes and protect their land. It is burning the houses of Seriki is not the best thing to do. It is wrong to do. But the fact that criminality of armed bandits has reached such a point that you can't act until you take a proactive step of protecting the people. If not, when the people rise up, their anger, their rage will define their own responses to how this issue should be tackled. What have we done in northern part of Nigeria? I gave a suggestion. From Kaduna to Abuja is about 160 kilometers. There are about 37 villages. How have we involved them in securing this road? Have we reached out to the villagers, to the community leaders, whose land and whose farms and whose homes have been dispossessed of by these bandits? Nobody has done that. Solutions are that Operation Lion, Operation Tiger, Operation Snake, Operation Python have all been launched, and people are still being killed, and these people are still acting with impunity. So as far as I'm concerned, if there is any group in our own part of the country is coming out with solutions that will address even the banditry, the killings, the kidnappings in the north, not even to talk of speaking on what is happening in southern part of Nigeria. So we are under siege, and solution to that should be that government must act without fear or favor or trying to protect anybody in order to secure our people. If not, this country will simply move to a failed state.
I guess we are all on one page.
Yeah.
With Senator Shehu Sani.
Yeah, we can't watch Nigeria degenerate to a failed state.
Okay, let me take Senator Shehu Sani's final take. What's your final take on this, Senator?
Well, my final take on this is that the federal government should support the state governors to bring an end to this violence. We must deploy the necessary technology, and we shouldn't color this issue on ethnic, sectional, or religious matters. We should take criminality as criminality. Bandits are terrorists, killing and kidnapping people, and they should be treated as such. There should be no defense or protection based on ethnicity of any sort. And there's a need for northern religious and traditional rulers to emulate what Sheikh Gumi is doing now, reaching out to the bandits, making sure that the good ones are being separated from the bad ones, and trying to see how this problem can actually come to an end. But people holding AK-47, killing people, unleashing mayhem and kidnapping people should be treated as criminals and should be extinguished from where they are perpetrating such crime.
I want to thank you, Senator Shehu Sani. I want to thank you for your brilliant contribution there. Thank you for joining us. It is expected that a new broom should sweep cleaner. So, Nigerians, including President Muhammadu Buhari, expect the new service chiefs to see defeat of insecurity. At a meeting with service chiefs at the presidential villa in Abuja, President Buhari told them that the country is in a state of emergency regarding insecurity, hence the need to serve well and bring the wanton killings and abduction to a halt. Babajide. they have their KPI, the job cut out for them, and these new guys, any moment from now, should hit the ground running.
Yes, I think today is the official handing over. If they've not done it now, they probably will do it anytime from now. So we expect so much from this new set of service chiefs, because for so long we expected real progress in the war against terror, but we continue to be fed with the fiction that defeat had been recorded. Defeat of the enemy had been recorded, but the truth is that the enemy is yet to be defeated. Whichever way we look at it, security has literally collapsed in our nation, and if people accuse some of us of talking so much about security or of scaremongering, the president, by saying that we are in a state of emergency in insecurity, says exactly what we have been saying for some time now. I'm happy that this president is confirming some of what we had said in the past. It's now repeating some of what we had said in the past, which effectively puts to shame those who would rather, even when the president has not done what is right, will support him. It effectively puts them to shame, because what the president is saying now, that we are in a state of emergency in insecurity, it puts a stamp on what we had been saying, that there is a need for a fresh energy, for a fresh impetus. You know, the presidency also said yesterday that a change was necessary to inject fresh energy, fresh impetus. That's all we always asked for. That's what we have always talked about. There's a need for fresh ideas. You look at the way the war against terror has been conducted, you know that beyond bringing in new helmsmen, you also need new tactics. I have repeatedly opposed the idea of the super camp. The super camp will protect soldiers, no doubt about it. The ease with which Boko Haram was overrunning army bases, the moment we created super camps, that stopped. But it left many communities undefended, because some of the army bases, the small army bases that were located in some of those communities, especially the far-flung ones, were wound up, and the soldiers were collapsed into super camps. I've never seen anything like that. You now left a lot of those places undefended. You can now see why many of those communities, nobody is living in them, because people don't want to die. If you know that Borno North, for example, Boko Haram has a tremendous presence in that area, and you want to stay in an area where you are not guaranteed of any form of security, of course people will not go there. Look at Guzamala local government, for example. So much money was spent. The place was rebuilt. People were relocated to the place in 2018. Then Boko Haram went there and slaughtered people. Today, not one soul lives in that area. And that's the local government of the Speaker of the state. He knows that, he's watching me, he knows I'm saying the truth. Because his father died recently, and his father was buried in Maiduguri, not in their hometown. These are facts. We need black transparency in the conduct of the war. We don't need people being paid to abuse journalists for saying the truth. We don't need people sitting. We don't need freelance miscreants staying on social media and abusing people for asking for greater impetus, a fresh impetus in the war. Because we are all stakeholders.
Paul, so looking at this fresh guys, and I expect that in terms it will translate to ideas. A lot of Nigerians, they've been talking about, Nigerians are very funny people. They've been talking about changing the service chiefs. Right now, people I discovered that since yesterday, people have been writing about the legality of changing the service chiefs without going to the National Assembly. And I looked at it and what do we want as a country?
Well, for starters, when I heard about the announcement of the new service chiefs, I was not too excited. I'll tell you why. I was not too excited because it came so late. Okay? Also, we are talking about the pedigree of these men. Fine. Those who were there also have pedigree. So I decided to be optimistic, but my optimism is a guarded one, it's a cautious one. Now, I hope about the people complaining, about the legality of this issue. I hope the president knows what he's doing, because Festus Keyamo, you remember that Festus Keyamo took, that's when Ejolika was appointed and all of that, and a court actually pronounced that they must go through National Assembly. Festus Keyamo was even interviewed on this current appointment, and he opined that they have not started. That they will still go to National Assembly. But apparently, maybe they will have. I don't think there's anything wrong in them acting. Operating an acting capacity at the moment, because you cannot leave a vacuum there. But now, the
National Assembly is on recess.
Yeah, National Assembly is on recess. But the truth of the matter is, the security of the country is very important. Security-wise, Lady Nigeria is bleeding on all sides. Everywhere. There's no soundness in our body. Every part of the country is bleeding. Southwest, northeast, northwest, north central, south. These are the days that only the bravest can travel by road. Only the bravest of us can travel by road now. It's so bad. Even Lagos, you may think, okay, we don't have this herdsmen issue in Lagos, but there was a time that you could drive around in the night in Lagos, and your heart will not be in your mouth. Like, maybe that was fashion. Like, if you remember, you could drive 1 a.m., 2 a.m. But now, the situation is not as it is now. So the service chiefs, it's not. We don't want rhetorics and all of that. We want action. And then we want synergy. One thing that's very, very important is we want synergy. We've seen under this administration, we've seen agencies of government singing discordant tunes. We've seen junior ministers and senior ministers, quarreling. We've seen an agency of a ministry and a ministry singing discordant tunes, being at loggerheads. So if we are going to fight insurgency, if we are going to fight abduction, if we are going to fight these wanton killings, these service chiefs must work together. They must work together with other law enforcement agencies. They must work together with the police, DSS. So all we want to see in this country, what we want to see is that we want to begin to sleep with our 2 eyes closed again. We want to travel by road and then know that, yes, we are secure. So they had better start to work. And like BKO said, yes, you can't be doing the same thing the same way and expect a different result. Apparently, the men who were there had run out of ideas. We've seen their best. Okay? So we need to rethink our strategy. We need to rethink our operations. We need to rethink our approach to this particular issue. And I wish them well. I hope things improve.
I saw one video today. It's very worrisome. I cannot readily confirm that that's within our territory. I saw some group of men, as in they were in their hundreds. They were speaking something like a French language, holding on to, highly sophisticated equipments, and the way they were moving, and they were even pausing to take selfie and everything. And I said, look, if this is what is happening, this is the way the bandits or the influx of the bandits to the country, that means we have a very big problem at hand. Because they get apprehended by the police, they parade them week in, week out. Still, these people, they are still operating all around the country.
Oh, the truth is, it could be a video shot in Mali. It could be Niger Republic. Those two countries are like failed states. And the insecurity in both countries directly affects us because you see fighters streaming into Nigeria from Mali through Niger Republic and coming into Nigeria through Yobe State. You see fighters from Libya, freelance fighters from Libya coming into Nigeria, passing through Chad, and then entering Niger Republic and straight into our country. So, because of what's going on around us, we are negatively affected by the war in Mali, negatively affected by the fact that in Libya today, there's no central authority that controls the affairs of the country.